What's happening everyone, my name is Alex and welcome back. In today's video we are checking out a brand new action camera gimbal called the iSteady Pro 3. So you can find this gimbal for about $90 and that makes it cheaper than most action cameras available on the market. Well, I mean you can buy some $50 action cameras, but what I'm trying to say is that this gimbal is pretty inexpensive, mostly considering how expensive gimbals used to be like 3 or 4 years ago. So $90 for a 3-axis gimbal. So what does a gimbal do? Well, first of all, it looks super cool. Look at all these cool movements. And secondly, it's gonna make you look super cool whenever you are recording something. But the true purpose of a gimbal is to make your footage steady. A lot of cheaper action cameras don't have the best image stabilization, or if you're recording at high resolutions like 4K at 60 frames per second, you don't have image stabilization at all. So with a gimbal like this, you'd put your action camera in there and then you can record in 4K at 60 frames per second and have image stabilization. Of course, that's not the case with the GoPro Hero 8 Black. This one actually has image stabilization for 4K at 60 frames per second recordings. But you get my point. You get a cheaper action camera and then you use a gimbal like this so you can get steady footage. So most action cameras available on the market will fit this gimbal. I have a bunch of action cameras that I tried and they all fit in here. But in a way, this gimbal is mostly designed for GoPros, in a way. So the gimbal has a Wi-Fi module. That Wi-Fi module basically connects the gimbal to your GoPro. And whenever they are connected, you can control the GoPro right from this button. So you can start and stop recordings, you can change modes and so on. So right from the gimbal. If you have a regular action camera, that's not gonna work with your regular action camera. So whenever you wanna start and stop a recording, you're still gonna have to press that recording button. Now, there is a way to skip that. So most action cameras have a car mode, and in a car mode, the action camera will start and stop recordings every time the car turns on and off. With this gimbal, we have a little mini USB port here, and you can connect an action camera to it. So let's say an Acaso action camera. So you can set that camera in the driving mode, and every time you're gonna turn on the gimbal, the camera will start recording. Whenever you turn off the gimbal, the camera will stop recording. So that's a way of doing it without having a GoPro, basically. So you just have to be a bit more inventive. But yes, this was mostly designed for GoPros, I feel. Like most gimbals available on the market, we have 4 modes available. So the first one is called the first person point of view, and this is the one that you're gonna use the most. I feel this one basically follows you everywhere. So up, down, left, right. So whatever you do, the gimbal will do. Then we have a pan and tilt follow, then we have a pan follow, and lastly we have a lock mode. In the lock mode, you basically lock the gimbal on one position, and no matter what you do, the gimbal will stay there. So if we press this button here another time, see how the camera stays in the exact same spot no matter what you do. So this is the lock mode. So next I want to show you a couple of recordings that I've done outside. Some of them were with the lock mode. I have a recording while running, one with the point of view. So let's check out those recordings and I will be right back. But before we see those, there is one thing that I want to mention. Here we have 4 LEDs, so you can see which mode you are in. But if you take the gimbal in direct sunlight, it's almost impossible to see those LEDs. I kind of know what each mode does, so I kind of know what mode I'm in, but if this is like your first time when you're using a gimbal, it may be a bit confusing choosing the right mode. So you just switch the mode from that little button there. So let's check out those recordings. So as you've seen for yourself, the gimbal does help making that footage look steadier, but the biggest difference you're gonna notice if you're using a cheaper action camera. The GoPro Hero 8 Black has the best image stabilization out of all action cameras, and the footage that you're gonna get to this looks actually like if you'd be using a gimbal when you're not. So you're gonna see the biggest difference whenever you're using a cheaper action camera that doesn't have the best image stabilization. This gimbal can also do motion time lapses. What is a motion time lapse? So your action camera will do a regular time lapse, but on the app, so there is an app for this gimbal that you can download from the Google Play Store or the iOS Store. In this app, you can select where the gimbal should move for the duration of that time lapse. And then you have the time lapse that's moving. So it does look pretty cool, but of course you're gonna need to be a bit creative for that. This is an example of a motion time-lapse that I've done earlier today. It's not the most creative time-lapse, but just so you can have an idea of what a motion time-lapse looks like. So let's check that out. Taking a closer look at the gimbal itself, well, this is mostly made out of plastic, nothing spectacular, but most gimbals look like this. At the bottom we have a 1/4-inch screw hole, and there is a little tripod that comes in the box, so you can hold this, put it on a little tripod. Basically, on the side here we have another hole, 1/4-inch hole, so you can mount it on a different tripod depending on what you're doing with it, and we also have the charging port and a USB port. So inside this gimbal we have a 3600 milliamp hour battery, and on one charge, if you are using the Wi-Fi module, you can get about 6 hours of usage. So this can stay on for a long time. But if you turn off that Wi-Fi module, so let's say that you're not using a GoPro, it can stay on for about 12 hours. So it can stay on for a long time. And you can also use this gimbal as a power bank. So you can charge an action camera, you can charge your smartphone if you want, but this is mostly intended so you can actually charge that action camera that you're using. And as I said earlier, we have a little mini USB port on the side here, and some cables that come in the box so you can actually charge any camera. So this way you're not going to be running out of power, because we all know that the action cameras, mostly the cheaper ones, don't have the best battery life. But this way you can keep an action camera going for a long time. So, should you buy a gimbal like this? Well, if you have an action camera that you use a lot, well, not even if you use it a lot, but if you use an action camera for anywhere, having a gimbal does make your footage look cooler. Mostly if you want to record in 4K at 60 frames per second, if you want to slow down that footage and you don't have image stabilization at that resolution, a gimbal can definitely help you make your footage better. So for the price, I feel that this offers really good value. I mean, the battery life is insane on it. You can charge your action camera. I wish there would be a way to control more action cameras, not only GoPros, but I think you can live with it and just start and stop recordings manually for cheaper action cameras. So yes, I absolutely love this gimbal for its price. Alright guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did like it, don't forget to press that like button, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.